This is IED activity 7.1, more dimensioning, problem number 3. From the MyPLTW website, we are being asked to draw this block with this wedge shape cut out of the middle. In order to do so, we will be using the Loft tool. So let's get started with our 2D sketch. So we want to start a 2D sketch in the XY plane here, and I move my origin down here to the lower left so that I have plenty of room to work in. The overall width of this object is 9 squares or 2.25 inches. Its depth is 4 squares or 1 inch, and its height is 5 squares or 1.25 inches. So let's draw that rectangle and do that simple extrusion. Start with my cursor going to the origin so that it turns green, and then I want to come over and up here with my rectangle tool, and as I said, the width of it is 9 squares or 2.25 inches. I'll hit the tab key, and its height is 1.25 inches because it's 5 squares. If I hit the tab key again, you'll notice that the dimensions now are locked, which is good. I can hit enter. Once I've hit enter, locks everything down. You can see the parallel constraints are in place, the perpendicular constraint is in place, and it's horizontal to the axis, as well as it's locked in on the axis. So I will finish that sketch, go to my home view, and I can extrude this object now, and it defaulted to my surface that I created. The depth of the object is 1 inch or 4 squares. Our default is 1 inch, so we're in good shape there. That view or extrusion is done. So we've created our block. Now we need to create the front surface of the wedge cutout. So we're going to start a new 2D sketch on the front view. Slide that back over here so I can see it. Using my line tool, quite simply, I want to make sure that I connect a point up here to the top line. Now, if I watch, I should be able to see that yellow dot jump onto that line. Hopefully I can get that. If I do, that's great. If not, it's no big deal. I can constrain it. You see now there's a yellow dot back here, which means it is connected. So I've got my other points here, and I'll just do my last point. With this one, I'm not going to make connect. I'm going to miss it by a little bit. I'll hit enter. My drawing is done. Press escape key, and my line here is off the edge, but that's not a problem. I can attach it using my coincident constraint. I'll click on that. I click on the end of that line, and then I'll click on the top line of my rectangle, and you'll notice that it put a yellow dot in place. That means it is constrained. I'll hit the enter key, actually press escape now, and now I need to dimension it to its appropriate size. So on my drawing, it says it's 2 times 1 square, so this dimension right here is 1 square or 0.25 inches, and there are 2 of them, so it's the same on the opposite side. So I can draw my dimension constraints over here. It's also 1 square up from the bottom, which is 0.25. So we're going to do dimension. We'll start here at the corner and go over to the end of this line and pull that up and to the left here and type in 0.25. I can do the same thing over here from the end of this line to the corner here or the edge, it doesn't matter. I can type in 0.25. And then the last thing I want to do is dimension from my point to the bottom of my object and pull it over here to the right. And I can either type in 0.25, or one of the other nice features is that if you know they're always going to be the same and they're always going to be proportional, I can say this is equal to this dimension up here. And as long as I keep that dimension 0.25, this one will stay 0.25. If I ever change this dimension, this one will change with it. So it's a feature that you might find useful at another point in time, but it's something that is available. Now the problem right now is that my triangle looks wrong. It's way over here. That's not a problem because these 2 lines are supposed to be equal to each other, which would make them come down here into the middle. So if I use my equal constraint tool, I can click on this line, and then I can click on my other line of my V, and now they are equal. You can see the equal constraint symbols. They are locked in the middle. This object is fully constrained now because it's purple, and it tells me down here that it's fully constrained. I will finish that sketch, I now have the front view done. I just need to create the back view where my lines are going to connect and create this wedge. So I'm going to rotate my object around so I can see the back surface, and I'm going to again create another 2D sketch on this back surface. If you notice, I can see currently that my constraints from the front view are still there. That's no problem. If I look at this one, it says that this back line is 2 squares, and there are 2 of them on each side, so that's 0.5 inches. And then it says that this point is 2 squares down from or a half an inch. So my object on this side is going to be a little different than the one on the front view. So the back view, I'm going to again get my line to jump onto the dot to jump onto my line. Click my first point down here, and notice it turned yellow up there, which means it is locked down on that line. And hopefully I can get it to connect here. I see it jump. See it just jump right there. Means, oh, we missed it. That's no problem. So we have 2 lines that are locked down. I need to lock down this other one with my coincident constraint, excuse me, and now it's locked on that line. Last thing I need to do is add the dimensions for these points. So if I start here on the right side, left side, and click on that point, draw it up here and off to the side, it is 0.5 inches. Because it's 2 squares, I can do the same thing, grab the side here, grab the point there, pull it up and off to the side, and it's 0.5 also. And this one comes down 0.5. So grab that point, grab my top line, and come over to the right, type in 0.5. Doesn't look quite right, not a problem. It says it's fully constrained, but is it really? Not quite, because I want to make these 2 lines equal to each other. And it does not like that. So we have to figure out why doesn't it like that? Why is it fully constrained? So I'm going to press escape, and if I right click on my mouse button and show all constraints, oh, there's the reason. There's a perpendicular constraint here. So when I was drawing it originally, I accidentally made it perpendicular. So I'm going to click on that perpendicular constraint and hit the delete key on my keyboard to get rid of that constraint. And now I can use my equal constraints and click on my 2 lines, and they're equal. So if sometimes things won't move for you, that's not a problem. You just need to figure out what the constraint is that's keeping it from doing what you want it to do or need it to do. So at this point, I have my V on the back side done. I'm going to finish my sketch. If I were to rotate this around, you could see that I have lines on both sides, and we are in good shape. So I'm going to click on my home view, and I'm going to use my Loft tool now to connect the front surface to the back surface. So it's asking me right now, where do I want to start? I need to pick a surface here. I'm going to click on my triangle that I've created on the front view right on the edge of that line. So it's got that one. I'm going to rotate this around so I can see the back side. I'm going to do the same thing on the back, and I want it to be a cut. So the second one is a cut. The first one is a join. We don't want to join it. We're trying to cut that material out. So I'll click on that, and I click the OK button, and you'll notice it's wedged that out for me. If I were to continue to rotate this around, you can see that it is wedged out. So I'll go back to my home view. Looks pretty good. So at this time, make sure you save the object, the drawing, in your folder so that you have it available for our drawings that we're doing on our title blocks.